Hey, this is Kip, and in this video, we're going to create an IFR flight plan and also get clearance with ATC for that IFR flight plan, all from within the cockpit of the Cessna 172. I'm running Microsoft Flight Simulator update number 6, which is version 1.10.11.0. And up until this version, the only way to get IFR clearance with air traffic control was by doing your flight plan in the world map, but now you can actually do it directly from within the cockpit. All right, so I'm in the cockpit, and the first thing I'm going to do is go to the waypoint page and find a nearby airport to set as our direct to destination. Go ahead and pick one down here. I want to do an ILS approach, so I'm going to pick this KRIV one that has an ILS. I'm going to hit enter to set it as my waypoint, and then I'm going to hit direct to and go ahead and then press activate to set it as my first waypoint in my flight plan. Now, if I check the flight plan, you'll see that our first waypoint is user. That means our current location, and we don't have the option to file an IFR flight plan yet. So the way to fix this is to make our current airport the first waypoint in the flight plan. So instead of user, we want KCNO, which is the Chino airport we're at, to be our first waypoint. So I'm going to enable the cursor and go ahead and input KCNO as my waypoint. And I'll go ahead and press enter to accept. And notice right away that the ATC window is updated to have this request IFR clearance for instrument flight plan. So this is exactly what we wanted, and we can just click this to file our flight plan and request our IFR clearance. But what I'm going to do actually is go back to my flight plan and just remove this user waypoint because we don't need that anymore. So I just hit the clear button after I highlight it, and now we just have Chino to KRIV, which is the March Air Force Base. There are two ways to add a approach procedure. One is hitting this proc button at the bottom and then choosing approach. You can also see there's arrival and departure. And another way to do it is from the flight plan page. You can just go ahead and hit the menu button on the right. And you can see there's select approach, arrival, and departure from there too. So I'm going to select approach and hit enter. And I'm going to hit enter again to select the ILS 32. And then for the transition, I don't know what is in the list here, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the dial to see. And there's just one choice here, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK to load it. And now I can see that it's updated with my approach. And I'm done, so I can go ahead and hit request IFR clearance. And this will ask for an IFR clearance for this flight plan from air traffic control.
Popper ready to copy IFR clearance to March.
So here comes our clearance.
November 20 Kilo India Papa is cleared to March Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 26 left.
Runway 26 left. Climb and maintain 7,000 feet.
Frequency is 135 force clock 0037.
And our transponder code. So we'll go ahead and click read back. So that's to confirm all the information. And it'll automatically tune our transponder to this squawk code. And I'm going to set my autopilot selected altitude to 7,000 feet. And it just automatically changed the transponder right there.
Cessna Kilo India Papa readback is correct. Contact ground on 121 decimal.
So now it says to contact ground when we're ready to taxi. So I'm going to go ahead and click on COM2 on the ATC window and use my COM2 radio to tune into the ATIS frequency so I can get the weather information. Most importantly, we want the altimeter setting. Alright, there's our altimeter setting. So I'm going to go ahead and change that on the altimeter right here, 3000. So there's 300. And now I need to go ahead down to my autopilot and make sure I update it there as well because they're not synchronized. So I have to hit the baro button. And by default, it's in HPA or hectopascals, and that's used outside of the United States. I'm going to click and hold the baro button, and that'll change the units to inches of mercury instead. That's used in the United States. So then I can go ahead and roll the dial like this and change it to 3000. All right, so now the autopilot has the correct barometric pressure as well. Then I'll just click Request Taxi
Chino
IFR.
ground, Cessna November 20 Kilo India Papa with X-ray ready to taxi.
Cessna November 20 Kilo India Papa taxi to and hold short of runway 26 left via taxiway Kilo Charlie Bravo cross runway 21 Bravo Alpha cross runway 26 right Alpha Echo. Contact tower on 118.5 when ready.
So I'll go ahead and click on Acknowledge Taxi Clearance.
Taxi to and hold short runway.
And what we
26
got
left
from
using
them
taxiway
is
Kilo
a
Charlie
specific
Bravo
route
cross
of
runway
which
21
taxiways
Bravo
to take
Alpha
in order
cross
to get
runway
to
26 right Alpha
the
Echo
start of the
Cessna
runway for
Kilo
where we're
India
taking
Papa.
off. And now I'm going to click on the Ground Services button on the ATC window. And then here we can request a pushback, so it'll push our plane backwards. So it'll just be a little bit easier to get going on our route to the taxiways.
Cessna November 20 Kilo India Papa pushback request accepted.
And if you don't have the taxi ribbon assistance turned on that you see in blue here, you can go ahead to the assistance menu and then go under the navigation aid section right here, and then go to taxi ribbon and turn that to on. It's extremely helpful, especially because the signage is really hard to read on the taxiways, especially at nighttime. All right, now that we're holding short of the runway, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the tower radio frequency. And then I'm going to hit Request Takeoff Clearance IFR. And you can see that it says IFR throughout all of these, just to confirm that you are using your IFR flight plan.
Cessna November 20 Kilo India Papa cleared for takeoff runway 26 left.
All right, so we'll go ahead and acknowledge the takeoff clearance, and then we're on our way.
Runway 26 left, Cessna November 20 Kilo India Papa.
So I went ahead and flew this entire flight, and I didn't have any issues with air traffic control. They gave me all the normal instructions I would expect, so everything seems to work just fine if you do the IFR clearance from within the game instead of from the world map. I also did the ILS approach here again. If you want to learn how to do an ILS approach, go ahead and check out the video linked below. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you found it helpful. And if you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, please leave them below. Thanks a lot.